afternoon, Dr. Atika. Can we consult you on some matters? Sorry, Doctor, I think we
Sorry.
have
Yeah, good afternoon, Yijun. Yeah, sure. What's the problem?
Doctor, we are having difficulties in choosing our future career at the moment. It feels like we have reached a diverge road. Should we go towards clinical pharmacy practice or would it be safe if we want to explore industrial pharmacy?
True, doctor. We always feel that it's safer to just go with the flow, where in this case, since most of our seniors choose the clinical pharmacy practice, maybe it's much easier for us to just join them and join a clinical pharmacy. Furthermore, we heard that there are actually not much opportunities for pharmacists in the industry, especially in Malaysia.
Hmm. Yeah, you two have a very interesting question here. So I think it's not just you, but many of your friends will have the same questions too. Okay, so I want to ask you a question. So in your opinion, what is the role of pharmacists in the industry?
Maybe as a formulator?
Okay, so
Um,
Agent?
I think maybe as a QFC officer.
Yeah, that's correct. So you both give a correct answer. So you have named two of the roles. But do you know, actually, pharmacies can be a lot more than that. So sometimes pharmacy can be a procurement officer, or you can also be a regulatory officer, sales manager, and sometimes scientists and researchers. So the role is very wide and huge.
Oh, really, doctor? I never knew there's so much of industrial pharmacy out there.
Yeah, okay. So I know a very prominent person who has been in the pharmaceutical industry for the last 20 years. So we have here with us Puan Sharifah Fauzia. So she was previously a regulatory officer for Pharmaniaga and now with Hanan Pharmacy. So we are lucky to have Puan Sharifah who has agreed to be with us today.
Wow, we would love to listen to her experience if possible, Doctor.
Yeah, agree. Me too. Perhaps listening to Puan Sharifa can give us a fresh point on how and why to join the pharmaceutical industry.
Yeah, okay. So we have Puan Sharifah already with us. So Assalamualaikum and good afternoon, Puan Sharifah.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good afternoon to Dr. Nur Atika, to Yi Jun and to Wei Jen. Thank you for inviting me to this webinar. I'm excited to share with you whatever little experience that I have. And I heard it's the school's 50th anniversary. So congratulations to the school on this 50th birthday.
Yeah, thank you, Puan. So we are delighted to have you with us today. So, Wei Jen, do you know that Puan Sharifah is one of our alumni, and she is a very notable alumnus too.
Oh, wow, really? Oh, that's
Yes.
so. We are very honored to have Puan Sharifa with us this afternoon. Puan,
Thank you.
maybe can you tell us about a little about your background? We are very excited to know how you go from a pharmacy graduate to who you are today.
Okay, thank you, Wei Jen. So you want to know about my journey? I'd like to tell you about my journey through some pictures. Is that okay if I share some pictures?
Yes, sure, Puan.
Can you see that is the picture of my graduation in August of 1994 during USM's 23rd convocation. Um, I'd like to take a moment sebenarnya to express my utmost gratitude to all my former lecturers, wherever they are right now, for their dedication, for their teachings, their mentoring, their guiding that actually enabled my batch and I to stand there on that day receiving our scroll. So from graduation, I did my housemanship in Hospital Kuala Lumpur, which is the most busiest hospital in the country. And there were 6 of us stationed at HKL. We were there for 1 year, but within that 1 year, we had a 1 month stint at the Selangor Pharmacy Enforcement Office. and we also have 2 months experience at NPRA. Just nak tanya, Yi Jun and Wei Jen, are you familiar with the term NPRA?
Yes, Puan,
Yes,
we do
but
know about
Okay.
NPRA.
Okay, good, great. So after I completed the housemanship at HKL, I joined a company called Procter and Gamble, and this is a picture of their headquarters in Cincinnati, Ohio. And on the panel below are some of their products. I was in Procter and Gamble as a regulatory pharmacy, managing the regulatory and the registration aspects. And I was responsible for Malaysia and Singapore. And at that time, I reported to another pharmacist who is also an alumni of USM. Okay, and from my observation, there are many in PNG itself as well as in other most multinational pharmaceutical companies. The regulatory role is actually primarily managed by pharmacists. Right. So after PNG, I was there for about 7 years. After that, I was poached by some friends and family. They wanted to open up a pharmaceutical business, but they are not from pharmacy background. So they wanted to use my license lah, basically. So I agreed to join them, and we opened up a company called Idaman Pharma Sendrian Berhad. And this company started out as a community pharmacy. But do you know, Yijun and Weijen, I have to share this with you, and I'm not embarrassed to share this with you also. During the first year, being a sole or a single community pharmacy was very, very tough. Some days, our income was only 300 ringgit a day. Sometimes it's 500 ringgit a day, and we cannot survive actually. And so what happened was the management of this company decided we need to also venture into wholesale business, and we decided to use my experience in the regulatory line, and we registered our own products, and we participated in government tenders, and that was when we got our first break. And after that, kita tutup lah the community pharmacy and concentrated purely on the wholesale business. A few years down the road, we heard of a manufacturing plant in Sungai Petani, Kedah that was going up for sale. Any of you from Kedah?
No,
no
Doctor.
one. I'm from
No
Perak.
one.
Okay, all right. Oh, you're from Perak. Okay, I've got a story from Perak as well. So, but this particular plant is in Sungai Petani, and however, the price tag to actually buy over this plant was 20 million ringgit. So imagine we didn't have 20 million ringgit. So what we did was we found some investors who were interested to join us. They did a thorough due diligence, and then they decided, yes, maybe this is a viable business. So they pumped in 20 million ringgit. What we did was, the first thing we did was to rebrand the whole company. We changed the name. Nama asal dia was Farm Malaysia. We changed it to Idaman Pharma Manufacturing Sdn Berhad, the one on the left hand side, if you can see on the screen. We rebrand it. We give it makeup. Kita kasih cat balik, kasih cantik, kasih bersih. We increase the compliance level, and we also increase the efficiency. And we made sure that we have a relationship with the employees, so much so that they want to give it their best, right? So as a result, it was a successful venture because we were supposed to pay back our financer, our investor, in 7 years, but we managed to do that in 4 years. And due to this success, our investor decided maybe it's good to further expand the pharmaceutical business. So that's where the picture on the right comes into place. at that time in 2009, there was this plant that was also going up for sale. The name was Sapphire Pharmaceuticals. This one is in Seri Iskandar. So those of you who are from Perak, maybe you're familiar with the place Sri Iskandar.
Yeah.
And we decided to also purchase this particular plant from their owner, and we dedicated this plant only for beta lactam manufacturing. Okay, whereas the one in Sungai Petani are the rest of the products, but in Sri Iskandar we dedicated it to the beta lactam products only. And my role in these two factories ataupun kilang as site director, and I was responsible for the overall compliance aspect of the running of the company. And our investor, the one that invested with us, they still feel that this pharmaceutical industry is a very viable industry. So in 2011, they went and buy Pharma Niaga. They went and buy Pharma Niaga from the holding company, and they wanted us to run the company. So that is where my journey in Pharma Niaga began in April of 2011. And I was there as the regulatory director. I was responsible for various portfolios, namely regulatory compliance, clinical affairs, pharmacovigilance, registration, as well as customer care. So do you know that customer care in Pharmaniaga is now still managed by a pharmacist? Right. So at the end, I ended my contract in Pharmaniaga end of last year. And then after that, I decided to go into a smaller company, so which is where I am right now. I'm in Hanan Medicare. Hanan Medicare is a new company. We do pharmaceutical trading, and we are located in Kota Damansara, PJ. But at the same time, Hanan Medicare is a major shareholder of a manufacturing plant called Good Science, which is located in Rawang, Selangor. So itulah saya punya journey daripada graduation sampai sekarang for the last 28 years. So kalau Yi Jun and Wei Jun look, it's as if I have moved several companies, right, along
Yeah.
the years. But in reality, I've only ever reported to two management. The first one is the Procter and Gamble, which is an American company, and the second one is yang lain-lain tu semua tu sebenarnya is headed by the same management and headed by a very entrepreneur lady by the name of Dato' Farshila Imran. And so I've only ever reported to two people saja in my entire 28 years of career. And a few months back, I was doing some research and I found this article, the concept of not working for a company, but working for a person. And I can say that this concept, I've lived this concept throughout my 28 years of career. That's it.
Thank you, Puan, for sharing with us about your amazing journey in the pharmaceutical field, along with your lovely photos, as well as this very meaningful saying of not working for a company, but working for a person. And so it really introduced us all to get to know you more in person. So, Puan, may I know what was it like when you were studying here in USM? Can you share more about your experience in USM with us?
Sure, Yi Jun. I was in USM from 1989 to 1994 because I had 1 year of matriculation and 4 years of pharmacy degree. Now, if you ask me how was my life in USM, I would say that it's one of the best years of my life, to be very honest with you. I had a lot of fun despite the studies. I had a lot of fun because I was very active. And again, I'd like to share some of my activities with you through some pictures. I was very active. Wait, this is actually the picture of okay. Before that, this picture is taken during the last day of my final year in Kubang Krian. You can see the date, 23rd of March 1994. This you can see is a pretty candid picture. We were not really aware that somebody took a picture of us during that time. And then bear in mind that in 1994, we don't have a pocket-sized gadget that we can simply take out and snap picture whenever we like, okay? So somebody had a camera, and cameras are also very expensive for us students at that time. So I honestly cannot remember who took this picture. However, the picture, we got a copy of this picture lah, basically. So to share with you my journey in USM, I was very active in sports. So that's me. The picture on top, that's me, right? And here, this is me, and this is also me over here, right? I represented USM's softball team, and I was the only pharmacy student in the entire team of men and women. For the women's team, we call ourselves the Wackies, and for the men's team, they call themselves the Whackers. I don't know whether they still exist. Do you know?
I think maybe the club still exists. Maybe just they changed the name.
I see, I see. So so there's still a USM softball team existing in the uni right now. So that's good to know. So anyway, I played in the team for 2 years in my first and my second year, and we always have apa tu latihan at the Minden Padang, the Padang Minden, the one at the front gate. And do you know where was I staying? I was staying in Desa Aman. So it's always a long walk for me from Desa Aman all the way to Padang Minden. And we always had, during tournament season, we always have the practice every day from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Jadi it's always a long walk for me lah. Dan zaman dulu, kalau Yijun and Weijun nak tahu, dia tak ada shuttle bus. Sekarang dekat USM ada shuttle bus kan?
Ya,
Zaman
faham.
dulu, dalam dulu tak ada shuttle bus, kita kena jalan dengan kaki kita sendirilah. Some of us have got motorbike, I don't. Some ada kereta, saya tak ada semua tu. So this is a part of my journey in USM. And then in my third year, this is for when I was first and second year. In my third year, I was involved and very actively involved in research work. I was working for Dr. Mary Jane Cardoza. She is one of Malaysia's prominent virologists, but she was attached to the School of Pharmacy. She taught all of us immunology. But she has a lot of research. She does a lot of research because she received a lot of international grants. Jadi she recruited some of us to work with her for 1 whole year daripada the final semester of second year until the final semester of the third year. Okay, during the break kan, the sem break tu. So we worked for her for 1 whole year, and she paid us salary. I remember it's 15 ringgit a day. So back then, 15 ringgit a day is a lot of money for a student. We don't need to spend like 50 ringgit a day, so it's a lot of money. And she also registered us under KWSP. She registered us under SOXO. So it was really like a real working experience for the five of us, because there were five of us that worked together with her. And what we did was, aside from working with her, we parked that work as the 6th unit elective paper that is to be done during the final year. But for us, final year, had to be done in third year lah, sebab kami dulu kena pindah ke Kubang Krian during the real final year. So we did our six unit elective paper. So we actually parked this work under that portfolio. And selain daripada working, getting paid for the work that we do, we also had our 6 unit paper. We were also exposed to present our findings at an international. It's not an international workshop. Sorry, it's a Malaysian workshop. It's a workshop, if I'm mistaken, the second UNESCO workshop on promoting microbiology. And it was held in Genting Highlands. So we had the opportunity to present our work during that particular workshop. So I can safely vouch and say that the five of us got a lot of experience that I can safely say it's a lot more compared to some other people during that time, because because of the exposure given to us by Dr. Jane in her research work, right? So the other thing that I was also active in is actually in the actual preparation for the studies itself. But before I share how I was actively preparing for the studies, I just want to ask Yijun and Weijen, you guys are in what year right now?
Both
We are
of us
both
are in the
in
first year.
First year. Okay, so first
Yeah.
year means you have gone through 2 semesters already, right? Now,
yes,
Yes.
correct.
every time you finish your semester, exam, what is the one thing that you would do, or where is the one place that you would go?
Okay,
Maybe let me answer first.
okay.
Okay.
Okay. So for me, also on my last day, so actually I went on the bus where I want to take the bus and like go around the USM for the last time in the semester before I go back to my hometown. How about you, Yijun?
For me, after my last paper, I head back straight to my hostel room and get myself ready to have a celebratory dinner with my classmates to celebrate finishing the last paper.
Okay, so of course, from what you share, Yijun and Weijen, it's either you celebrate or you really, Weijen, you round campus dulu, kenang-kenangan sebelum balik Perak, yeah. Right. For me, it's slightly different. Of course, I go and do my celebration as well. But for me, it's slightly different because the place that I would go immediately after my exam, the number one place that I would go is actually the library. Exam dah habis, tapi saya pergi library. Bukan untuk study, saya ada dua objective when I go to the library. My objective is the first one, saya cari buku. I would be fine. I would look for all the reference books that I would need for the following semester. I pinjam, I Xerox, and I also sembunyikan. I know I was a bit naughty. I sembunyikan some of the books at this journal section of the library. Now, back then, at the journal section of the library, people rarely go there, okay? I don't know how it is right now. And can you imagine, I can simpan some books there throughout the entire semester and nobody will take it. So let me just let you into a little naughty secret. If you need to borrow some books, you can actually, don't quote me lah, okay? But you see, for us, for my generation, we really depend on physical references, right? I think for Yijun and Weijen, you all are a bit more fortunate. I don't know whether the right term is fortunate or a bit more blessed that information can come to you in many modes. Okay, but not necessarily for us. So for us, kita kena cari ilmu itu, kita kena cari sampai kena sembunyikan buku lah, nak make sure kita boleh pakai semester depan. So that's number one. Number two, the other thing that I would actively be doing also at the library on that last day, there's another section in the library where they keep the past year's questions, and I would look for the past year's questions for the following semester, make copies of them. I would actually put them in the Manila card files, the Manila card files. I don't know whether you guys still use that or not, and label them with whatever is the course code, and then I simpan. Once I've done those two things, barulah saya pergi enjoy. This is the, you can say my choleric and melancholic character lah. I really need to be in control to make sure that when I come back to the semester, the following semester, I'm ready to learn. Begitulah ceritanya Yijun and Wei Juan.
And Doctor, I think with the advancements of the technology now, maybe we should start to search for references in the internet so that we can use in the next semester.
Yeah, sure. Will do.
Fine. I think you want to say about further about your findings, right?
What is it?
You say you want to share more about your findings.
No,
or-
that's it. That's what I want to share. Yeah.
So I think when Juan is still a student, I think the story is like more or less the same with us. Actually, I have one question, and I'm still wondering whether that maybe I should choose the clinical field or industrial field, as we are not exposed much to the industrial part of the pharmacy yet. Juan, if we may know, why did you choose to work in the industry actually? I think it is actually quite rare because during the time when Malaysia pharmaceutical industry is considered very young.
You want to know why did I choose the pharmaceutical industry as my career? Okay. Let me be very honest with you. I did not choose it as my first choice. Right. When I was studying in final year, final year is the clinical year. We were taught that there is a triangle consisting of the patient, the doctor, and the pharmacist, right? So we were all geared to be clinical pharmacists. So I thought that is going to be my line, clinical pharmacy. And then once I stepped into HKL and did my housemanship, now I quickly realized that that there was a triangle. There was a triangle, but the triangle consisted of the patient, the doctor, and the nurse. I could not see, right? I really could not see. Maybe it was me. Maybe I was the one who could not see where does a pharmacy actually fit in, right? Except for those who are involved in therapeutic drug monitoring, TDM, or those doing TPN, total parenteral nutrition. And in HKL back then, these two professional tasks are done by a single person, right? So, and then the rest of the pharmacists are actually more into either drug information center or managing the logistics and the drug supply, at the store of the hospitals or the various different stores, as well as the outpatient. So I just felt that maybe that's not what I wanted to do. I went in thinking I would be in the clinical pharmacy, but when I was doing my housemanship, then I realized that no, that's not what I wanted to do. So what was the next obvious choice? At that time, the next obvious choice was actually community pharmacy. And at that time, kita tak panggil pun community pharmacy tau. We call it retail pharmacy. So I thought, okay, since I don't think I want to work in a hospital, that's it, thank you very much. I would want to work at a retail pharmacy. So me and my friends at that time, dulu kita tak ada laptop, kita tak ada laptop. Siapa yang ada komputer kat rumah tu kira macam terror lah kan. So we were all using the computer at the drug information center at HKL, you know, bergile-gile typing our application letter, typing our resumes. And we were all at that time sudah pun mula untuk mencari pekerjaan yang lain after housemanship. And I got a job in Georgetown Pharmacy, located at Jalan Tunku Abdul Rahman, Kuala Lumpur. Zaman tu Georgetown Pharmacy quite famous sebab dia macam a chain of pharmacies lah. There were at that time there was Guardian, there was City Chemist, there was Georgetown. Right now I'm not sure. I have not seen any Georgetown Pharmacy di Kuala Lumpur, but maybe they are in Penang. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
a lot of
Ada kan di Penang?
Yeah.
a few branches.
Yeah, so I got a job in Georgetown. Jadi I thought bukan clinical, therefore I go to retail, and I was satisfied. And then one day while I was still doing my housemanship, one of the pharmacists called me. So jumpa dia lepas lunch. Nama dia Puan Fatimah Abdul Rahim. She said, Sharifah, saya punya kawan in Procter & Gamble is looking for a regulatory pharmacist. And then I told her, Puan, saya dah dapat kerja dah dekat Georgetown Pharmacy. Saya tak pergi kot this particular interview. And then she said, just give it a try lah. I mean, there's no harm in just checking it out. Okay. So I was curious, so I went. Now, kita pergi interview dengan kosong tau, zero knowledge. Sebab masa tu Google belum lahir. Saya tak boleh nak Google apa itu Procter & Gamble, apa itu regulatory pharmacist, tak ada. So I went in with zero knowledge, but my interviewer who was going to be my boss at that time, her name is Puan Samsa Baharani. Like I said, she's a pharmacist and also alumni of USM. She was very nice to me. We talked. She told me a lot about the company. She told me a lot about working in the regulatory line. And then I decided that on the spot, I think I don't want to work in retail lah. I want to work in regulatory. It was on the spot decision. I told her, if you will have me, I will want to experience working here. Tapi Yejun and Wejun nak tahu tak apa perbualan kami that made me have that decision, have that on the spot decision. We were talking about a lot of things, and then the discussion went into the topic of pay, about salary. Okay. So I just plug a number lah. I don't have any scientific basis behind the number that I gave her. But she said, Sharifah, that's a bit too much for us. If money is important to you, maybe this is not your place. But what I can tell you is working in Procter & Gamble, you will have you can gain valuable knowledge working across international exposure. And then I said, wow. Of course, money is important, right? But then money, kalau you fikir, if you have money, at the end of the day, habis juga kan? But if you have knowledge, it grows on you. You gain some more. So that the choice was very obvious for me. I want that experience. Being a fresh graduate, I want that experience to be able to work across cultures, having international exposure. So that made me decide to start my career in the regulatory line, in the industry, and I have stayed there until today. So to answer your question, this wasn't my first choice, Wei Jen. Not my first choice at all. It was my third choice. But I decided to stay with it.
Wow, that was indeed a very inspiring journey, Puan. I never knew that industrial pharmacy could offer such amazing career prospects, challenging the status quo that pharmacist roles exist within and beyond counters. So thank you, Puan, for this insightful sharing on how you kickstarted your career in the pharmaceutical industry through stages from clinical settings to setting up your own community pharmacy and finally landed yourself in the industrial line. I believe your eye opening experience could be a great guideline to all young aspiring pharmacists out there who are also thinking of venturing into this industry as well. So, now, Puan, I have another question here for you. Could you please share with us the development of the pharmaceutical industry in Malaysia?
Right, development of pharmaceutical
Sorry, sorry.
industry.
Sorry. Before
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
Puan ada, maybe do you want to share pictures or slides with us?
Not now. Later, I will want to share some pictures later. I will
Mhm.
let you know when. But if I want to share, can I do it immediately ataupun macam mana?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So now
Okay.
okay. Mungkin kita keluarkan daripada slide sharing ini, then I will share my slide later.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright. So you were asking me about development. Development in the pharmaceutical industry ada banyak. I ada berapa minit sebab kalau nak cakap development sampai besok pun mungkin tak habis. So I ada berapa minit to talk about development.
10 minutes, Puan.
10 minutes only, okay. 10 minutes, I'll try to make it brief. Alright, I would like to bring you through some thought process, okay. So dia macam ni. Kita tengok from the global scale dulu. You're talking about the pharmaceutical development. Kita look at the global scale. I menjuru kepada the topic of GMP, Good Manufacturing Practice, GMP. Before 2002, Malaysia punya GMP standard is not recognised anywhere sebelum tu. I mean, bukanlah anywhere tapi not really recognised. But our NPRA, the GMP unit section, they worked very hard to increase the GMP compliance level of the local manufacturers, and because of that, they were able to put Malaysia as the 26th member of PICS. I don't know whether you all are aware of PICS, but it stands for Pharmaceutical Inspection, Cooperation and Convention Scheme. It's actually a get together of it is an informal get together, tetapi the informal get together is amongst regulators that have got comparable GMP inspection standards. Okay, so it's not easy. It's not easy to be a PICS member, but our NPRA have successfully put Malaysia as the 26 member pada tahun 2002. Right now, as we speak, there are about 55 or 56 members in PICS. Jadinya, that is a very apa orang kata positive development for the country because our GMP level adalah setaraf comparable to those in the US, in the UK, in South Korea, in Australia, New Zealand, you name it, ada 50. And that puts Malaysia's standing somewhere di mata dunia. Okay, that's number one. That's on the bigger scale. Now I bring you down closer to ASEAN, right? At the ASEAN level, there's also been development in terms of the harmonization of the pharmaceutical sector. Of course, some people will say the progress is too slow. A lot of people are saying the progress is too slow. Yeah, they have a point, correct. But throughout the 20 over years of discussion, the 10 member states of ASEAN have agreed to have ASEAN common technical requirements, have agreed to have ASEAN common technical documents, right? And there's also been mutual recognition agreements, MRAs, on GMP, and the recent one is on bioequivalent studies. So memang we are still a long way before we can before we can say that we have a single market for ASEAN as far as pharmaceuticals is concerned, tetapi there have been some development. Right. Now I bring you closer to home. Okay, kita narrow down lagi kepada Malaysia itself. So if you look at Malaysia, the local, kita tengok at the local manufacturing landscape, over the years there have been increasing number of pharmaceutical companies being set up lah, local manufacturers being set up, but the growth is not rampant, it's not big, the growth is very small. However, it's not the growth that I want to talk about, but it's the quality of the capability, yeah, the capability of these local manufacturers that we're talking about right now. Contohnya, 20 years ago, none of the local manufacturing facilities in the country can produce biosimilars. None. But right now, we have companies who are producing insulin. For example, Biocon. Biocon is producing insulin in the state of Johor. Okay, you can say, but Biocon is not a Malaysian company. Correct. Biocon is not a Malaysian company. However, Biocon setting up a plant in Johor actually provides career opportunities for Malaysians to be exposed in the manufacture of biologics, of biosimilars. You know, and that's not easy, right? And we can take a look at the company that I used to work for, Famaniaga. Famaniaga have a plant in Puchong, Selangor, that used to make small volume injectables. They make the emergency trolley punya medications, the sodium chloride, the glucose, the dextrose, the ferritin and stuff. But during the peak of the pandemic, they were able to expeditiously turn around the plant and produce COVID vaccine. COVID vaccine by Sinovac, right? So these are all what do you call it? Very positive development with regards to how our local manufacturing landscape have matured and have evolved to be able to now deal with complex compounds and no longer just looking at small compounds, right? So I brought you to the from the global scale to the ASEAN scale to the national level. Now let's take a look at guidelines. Over the years, there have been new guidelines that have been coming up, right? We have bioequivalence guidelines. We have pharmacovigilance guideline. We have, if we go into the bigger, broader medical fraternity, we have the medical device guideline. All of this were not really implemented in the 1990s or the 1980s. Okay, so let's talk about bioequivalence, for example. Have you studied about bioequivalence before at this stage?
Yes, one.
Sudah ya? Okay, very good. So you know that bioequivalence is a study to show that the generics can be interchangeable with its corresponding innovator kan. Now, in 2000, in late 1990s, early 2000, there was barulah Malaysia started to implement regulation on bioequivalence. Itu pun they started off with only a list of products. Every year the list is expanded until 2012. Baru NPRA announced that all oral solid dosage, of course, except OTCs, need to go through, no, need to have bioequivalent studies. But it's not so much the studies that I want to, the guideline that I want to touch, but it's the spin off, right? When you talk about having a guideline that requires the industry to abide with, the spin off is kita akan create people who will be specialists in that area. So now there are pharmacists who are specialists in bioequivalence, for example. And then you also look at there are also pertumbuhan in the establishment of bioequivalent centers in the country. Dulu tak ada, there's no such thing. The country does not provide such services at all, right? But because of this need, kita sudah ada companies that provide bioequivalent services, CROs that provide them, and there are roles for pharmacists in this. Sama juga dengan pharmacovigilance. In the early 2000s, NPRA cuma implement the reporting, the monitoring and reporting of ADRs, adverse drug reaction. Tetapi pada tahun 2016 was the first guideline, the Malaysian pharmacovigilance guideline was established in 2016, and just last year NPRA issued the new guideline on good pharmacovigilance practice guideline. Jadi this is also another area, because if I look at some of my friends who are managing pharmacovigilance, not just in the country but also outside of the country, many of them are actually pharmacists. So this is an area that our pharmacy students can actually venture into. Right. So then I talked about medical device. As I mentioned, 10 years ago, there was no control on medical devices. Medical device can range from as simple as your gloves to syringes to as complex as your X-ray machine or your MRIs, But dulu tak ada regulation, but right now there is some regulation. So all these are positive developments, and they create more career opportunities for university students especially. Then another area that I would like to share, maybe Yijun and Wei Jun, being millennials, you all I'm sure are very passionate about sustainability, right? The young people are always very passionate about sustainability. Now, but when I first started work, there was no it's not heard of. This sustainability punya chapter is not heard of. But I was lucky because I was working in Procter and Gamble, a US company, and they already have sustainability chapter. Whenever they design a product or design its packaging, they always factor in sustainability aspects into it. Jadi saya dah tahu berkenaan perkara itu. But for Malaysia, it was only in 2015, if I'm not mistaken, when the United States member countries started to sign off their 2030 agenda on sustainability development, barulah kita semua dikejutkan, dengan kepentingan talking about and making sure that everything that we do has got sustainability agenda in it. Even though sustainability is not skewed to pharmaceutical, cumanya why I say it's still a very good development, because at the end of the day, the pharmaceutical industry will have to make sure that what they do adalah dalam kerangka that will enable sustainability development, right? I still have got two more things that I think I can share with you in terms of development, but they are future developments. Future developments means right now the industry is talking about it, and probably by the time you all come out as pharmacists, you'll be able to see it being implemented. So let me just share with you what are those two things. Number one is e-labeling. Number two is track and trace. So e-labeling, you tahu kan kalau you beli ubat, dalam tu kita ada package insert yang kertas tu. E-labeling will replace the use of paper PI. Jadi kita again dia ada cost saving elements, dan dia juga ada sustainability elements, di mana in the very near future, if you pick a box of medication, you can see either a QR code or a 2D data matrix. You can scan it and then you can download all the information that is needed that was once found in the package insert. Okay, so that's one. The other one, as I mentioned, is track and trace. So track and trace pun akan menggunakan QR code juga, where it will be able to track every single box or every single bottle from the day it is born in the manufacturing line to the day that it is being used at the end user, and it can be traced, its movement can be traced from one point to another, and that is important for security purposes. So Yijun and Weijun, these are some of the developments that I can pick out very quickly to share with you. And what I can say is, when you talk about the developments, it's interesting because hari-hari ada je perkara baru that will come out. So it's never a dull day. If you work in the industry, it's never a dull day. That I can vouch.
Okay, thank you, Puan, for the wonderful explanation on the development of the pharmaceutical industry in not only Malaysia but on an international scale. I believe we have all gained more insights about the diverse opportunities offered by the pharmaceutical industries in our nation now. So, Puan, to be honest, at times we feel like we do not know which way to choose, either going into clinical pharmacy practice in the hospitals or joining the industry. What would be your advice to us all, Puan?
Okay, advice, yeah. My advice is, let me see. You have to find your own passion. It's difficult to advise you on something. You sendiri kena rasa benda tu. Because if you look at me, I thought I wanted to do clinical. And then tak jadi. I thought I wanted to do retail. Tak jadi. And all those is in a span, very short span, bukan lama lah, very short span. But my one advice that I would give to you is my one advice that I would give to you is to talk to as many people as possible, right? Talk to your lecturers. I'm sure your lecturers have friends in various sectors, right? Get them to connect you to those people. So now you know me, you can ask me questions after this lah. We can have separate discussion after this, but it's important that you tanya, you connect with people. Dan most important also, apabila you cuti, try to get an internship. The school may not require you to do an internship, that's fine. But what is important is you sendiri cari tempat nak buat your internship during your break. Okay. Dan I can promise you that not everybody will say yes to you. That is for sure. Okay. But not trying, if you don't try, you will never know. Okay. I always tell my children this: if you do not try, you never know. When you do not try, your chances is zero.
Sorry, alarm.
Okay, when you do not try, your chances is zero. But when you do not ask, your chances are zero. But the moment you ask, your chances of getting a yes terus naik ke 50%. Betul tak? Because the answer you can get is either yes or a no, right? So that is my one advice to you. And the other advice that I can give you is not really advice. I can share with you what it takes to be a regulatory pharmacist or to be the one working in a manufacturing plant. And maybe through that sharing, you can see whether it fits your apa orang kata, it fits your soul or not. Okay. All right. I need to not have this slide. Can I not have this slide? I need to share my own slides. Is it okay?
Sure, Puan.
Sekejap ya. Is it there? No? No, it's not sharing. Nope. It's okay. Never mind. It's not sharing. It's okay, never mind. Right, never mind. I can verbalize this. No worries. So I want to give you some idea what is it like to work in regulatory as well as in the plant. Saya akan bahagikan kepada dua. So I go regulatory first. When you work in the regulatory, it is 101% paperwork. Right? If you like paperwork, this is good for you. If you like to read, if you like to work in a structured environment, regulatory is good for you. If you can follow instruction, because in regulatory, everything is as per instruction, all right? It's good for you. If you are patient, why patient? Because to register a product takes a long time. If you are patient, then this is the job for you. But however, sometimes for me, this is something that I enjoy doing, but I cannot do paperwork 100% of the time. Nanti saya akan jadi sangat tension. Okay, so I've been trained from my PNG days, that to be active in industry association. So when you are active in industry association, you get yourself engaged in discussions with the authorities. So that way you create network, that way you expand your knowledge, right? And that way you can have an interaction that is outside of the paperwork. So when I was in PNG, I was co-leading the CTFA's regulatory chapter. CTFA stands for toiletry cosmetic toiletry fragrance association, because PNG was a member of CTFA. Now, for the last few years, I also co-lead the regulatory chapter of MOPI. So MOPI stands for Malaysian Organisation of Pharmaceutical Industries. Okay, and at the same time, I'm also a scientific committee member for IGBA. IGBA is the International Generics and Biosimilar Association. So IGBA ni dia macam the international version of MOPI lah. MOPI local, IGBA is the international version. So dalam IGBA you have all the MOPIs, the similar macam MOPI in Europe, similar macam MOPI in US, it sits in the inside IGBA. So I sit in a scientific committee. So this kind of interaction makes your 100% paperwork tadi tu less boring. Okay, but regulatory memang paperwork. Okay. Now the other aspect of working in the industry, if you work in a manufacturing plant, yang ini dia banyak action. Dia bukan paperwork. Dia paperwork ada, paperwork banyak, tapi dia banyak action. A lot more action because for one, you have to deal with 4M and 1E. What are the 4M and 1E? You have to deal with man, machine, material, method, and environment. If this 4M and 1E don't go the way you like it to go, memang a lot of action lah that will be happening to make sure that all the 4Ms and 1Es are aligned all the time. Okay, but to be in the pharmaceutical manufacturing facility, your pharmaceutics knowledge is important. It will come in handy when you work in a production line. And then there's also opportunity. What is really interesting about working in the manufacturing facility is that you also need to work very closely with other disciplines. For example, when you're handling a machine, you need to work very closely with the engineers. So secara tidak langsung, you will also be exposed to how a machine actually works. Jadi you get more knowledge daripada these interactions with the different disciplines within the what do you call it, within the factory itself. So more action dekat, kalau in the manufacturing plant there's more action. And tadi I think Dr. Atika mentioned that there are many roles of pharmacists in a manufacturing facility. Betul. You can be the production pharmacist, you can be formulator, you can be I think Wei Jen said about QA, right? Yi Jun, you said about formulator. And then supply chain also requires a pharmacist license. And then regulatory, and I mentioned just now, because of the development, we need BE specialists. Then there is pharmacovigilance, and then there's registration, walaupun registration tu not necessarily being handled by a pharmacist, right? And then you also have regulatory compliance, people to take care of the GMP standard within the company, right? So that is the fun part about working in the industry. And I always like to share this with anybody that I speak to. Yeah, whenever we talk about patient care, people always think patient care is nearer to the patient. Tetapi kalau you fikir, patient care sebenarnya bermula at the manufacturing plant. Because whatever you do affects the lives of the people that take your medication. right? So patient care, the mentality of patient care, the mentality of doing it right must be instilled daripada the manufacturing plant itself. And whenever I talk to students, aspiring students like you guys, I always say this. I don't have a slide. Somehow I cannot show my slide, but never mind. When you are manufacturing your ubat, when you are supplying your medicine, you're not just supplying ubat. That's it. No. You're actually supplying also and giving the people hope. Dalam kes ni, hope ada dua makna. Satu, hope in the pure sense of the word, of the meaning of the word hope itself lah, iaitu harapan. Ya. So if you're sick, you ambil ubat, you berharap that you're going to get better. If you were taking the medication for preventive purposes, then you berharap that you'll be prevented from getting any diseases, right? So you are supplying hope to the people who's actually going to take your medicine. That's number one. Number two, this is hope can be an acronym which I coined, and it stands for heeding on product excellence. Heeding on product excellence. What does that mean? Kita ada tanggungjawab untuk memastikan the product that we produce is of excellence, is of the intended quality, is safe, it's efficacious. Again, going back to the fact that those who take our medication have hope of getting better. So to me, patient care begins here. Patient care is not just narrowly looked at by the bedside, but it begins all the way downstream dekat the manufacturing plant. So those are the things that I can share with you sedikit sebanyak regarding working as a regulatory or working in the manufacturing facility itself. Of course, Yi Jun and Wei Juan, what I just shared with you is just the tip of the iceberg. Right? Sebab tu saya punya advice tadi, seek more information from the people around you. You ask your lecturers if they can perkenalkan you with any of their friends, then you can have a more thorough discussion. And after that, you sendiri kena tanya diri you, what is my passion, right? And then follow your passion. Something like that.
Okay, thank you, Pearl, for sharing us on the regulatory and manufacturing side of the industry. And I also believe that no matter whether we are in the clinical or industrial, we will always like to bring hope to the patient. And final, one more question, Juan. Let's say there's suddenly a time machine appear in front of you, and you are given a chance to go back to your study days in USM. What thing that you will do differently?
Time machine.
Yeah.
Okay, if I can go back in time, there is one thing that I would do differently. Let me tell you a story. In first year, all of the first year students, we have to take Bahasa Malaysia and Tata Negara paper. Okay, it's combined. And it's actually a year 4 paper but taken during first year. And I still remember the class are held on Thursdays, hari Khamis, pukul 8 pagi. 8 sampai 9 pagi is Bahasa Malaysia. 9 sampai 10 is Tata Negara, and it is held at the Chancellor punya hall, the big hall. So all the first year student will go. And attendance is compulsory. So siapa tak datang, I think there's going to be repercussion lah. Jadi saya seorang student yang baik, saya datang. Tapi masalahnya bila saya datang, kelas tu pukul 8 pagi. Lepas tu the lecturer macam entahlah, I pun tak tahu. Tapi dia buka mulut saja, saya tutup mata. Sampai habis. So saya ni very diligent. I will go to the class every week. I will not miss sebab kena sign, right? Dulu tak adalah pakai thumb drive ke apa ke, sign have to sign in. But I will sleep in the class. And as a result, unfortunately, I got a D for that subject. It's the only D in my transcript. Not happy about it, but then I think I deserve it because I didn't really study. So, Wei Jan, if I could turn back time, if I could enter into your time machine and go back, I would pay more respect to that lecturer. Probably the lecturer is also thinking, yo, I got 8 o'clock class. Probably lah. Huh? Just like me, I got 8 o'clock class. Probably he was also having a hard time. So I should have paid more respect to him. That is what I would do if I could turn back time.
Thank you, Kwan. Yes, I think maybe all of us as a student, yes, we should pay our full attention in the class. I think I can give the stage to you, Ejun.
Okay. So a very interesting story Puan has shared. So very inspiring you are, Puan Sharifah. So we are truly honored to have the opportunity to interact directly with you today. So guys, do you have any questions to ask Puan Sharifah? Fire them away in the Q&A session. We must take this opportunity wisely.
Okay, Puan Sharifah, let me read the question to you. So this question is from Mawazi Suhaimi. So, hi Puan, how do you think that MSc is appreciated in the industrial sector, whether as an R&D pharmacist or the production pharmacist?
Okay, thank you for the question, Marwazi Suhaimi. Okay, when we talk about formulators, I have brought this subject several times, even at lembaga pharmacy meetings, because kita tidak in Malaysia kita tidak ada we don't have real pharmacists who actually does formulation. Why I say that? Why I say that is because in the industry, many companies actually have to import the formulator punya specialty. So if there is a master's degree in formulation in I'm assuming when you say R&D, you're talking about formulation. Yes, that is very much welcome. I wouldn't say so much for production pharmacists because the current bachelor, I rasa, is sufficient to manage the production pharmacist bit. But as an R&D pharmacist to work in the formulation sector, formulation punya area, that is very much welcome kerana why do we need to import from other countries? Why can't we churn our own specialist in this area? So saya sangat-sangat menggalakkan. In fact, Dr. Atika, sekiranya in the bachelor sendiri boleh buat, boleh ada specialty ini, sebenarnya lagi bagus.
Ya Puan, sebab kita sekarang dekat School of Pharmacy, kita ada dua streaming. So the clinical pharmacy and then the industrial pharmacy. So usually the students in the industrial pharmacy ni akan continue with their master degree in the formulation development lah. In the formulation development. So sometimes they are wondering whether they will have a better opportunity with their master degree lah in the industrial industrial sector.
This is my personal opinion, Dr. Atika. I think yes, because again, I go back to the fact that if companies are importing the expertise and we have homegrown expertise, we rather use homegrown expertise. It's as simple as that.
Yes. So Puan, kalau PhD macam mana? Is there any opportunity or is it not? I mean, master level only is enough for the industrial pharmacy.
It depends on what you punya research is all about lah. If you can come up with new apa orang kata drug delivery system, for example, kan, then of course it's going to be valuable. But it has to be something that can benefit the nation, something that's not already there. If that's something that you can offer, if the PhD student, PhD graduate can actually offer something more, then it is something that can be valuable. Tapi kalau setakat yang biasa-biasa yang ada, then mungkin we don't need until that level.
Okay. That's good to know.
Okay, Puan, there's
Right.
another question from Dr. Sarah. Um, Working as a regulatory pharmacist will involve interacting with many big pharma companies. How do you suit yourself? Any advice for the students to equip themselves with certain skills in advance?
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sarah, for the question. Okay. In the regulatory pharmacy ni, I think one skill that you need to have, maybe I say two skills that you need to have. Number one is you need to read a lot. Sebab apa? Sometimes there are new regulations that come into place, right? And then you need to see how that can be fitted into your own practice. So by reading up a lot more, you can better prepare your company for whatever that's coming. All right. But more importantly is tadi I did mention about engaging with the authorities, because right now banyak dah our regulatory authorities lebih bersifat terbuka, and they normally engage with industry before they set any new guidelines or anything. Okay, so that engagement, that's the second skill that you need to have to be able to make yourself be present in any of this discussion, and using your knowledge from all your readings, it can actually help you develop further in your career as a regulatory pharmacist. Dan saya selalu diingatkan masa when I was in PNG dulu, my boss would tell me that it's very important in the regulatory punya as an industry that we try to make ourselves as a resource center. Meaning to say, if the authorities need any new information, they will think, oh, I need to go and see this person. I need to ask this person to help out. Itu yang objektif yang kita nak. Supaya we will be together with the authorities when developing anything that's new, dan bukan kita tiba-tiba je tahu something new has been implemented dan kita terkejar-kejar try to fit it in. So to answer Dr. Sarah, it's important that you read up a lot. Sebenarnya dalam regulatory ni dia ada banyak opportunities. Kalau kita pergi LinkedIn pun, for example, ada regulatory affairs professional society. You can actually join the society, and through joining the society you'll get very much a lot of information with regards to how other countries are managing their regulatory matters.
Okay, Puan, ada lagi satu soalan. We heard that working in the industry, it's a high salary, high paid job lah, but it is also at the same time very demanding. So, what is your opinion? I mean, what is your say on that? Is it
Okay.
really very demanding?
It is. It is. Kak cakap tadi tu yang 4M dengan 1E tadi tu. 4M and
Mm-hmm.
1E must be aligned all the time. If 4M and 1E are not aligned, memang kacau. Jadi
Mm-hmm.
and it also depends on which company that you work for. Kalau it's a big company, I can assure you it's running 24/7. Kalau small company macam sekarang ni, my company which I'm attached to, Hanan Medicare has got a stake in a good science. Kami small company, so kami kerja satu shift je. Okay lah, I boleh balik relax. But when I was working in Pharmaniaga dulu, kebanyakan dia punya plants running 3 shifts. Saturday Sunday pun kerja juga. And while all this is happening, the 4M and the 1E must be aligned all the time. So dia memang mencabar. Tapi dia very interesting lah. Seperti saya kata tadi, there's never a dull day. But you don't talk to me about salary. Kerana saya ni, I'll be very, very honest with you. People move career, many people, logical thinking, move career for a better pay. Logic tak saya punya statement tu?
Yes,
Tapi
yes.
tapi my own personal experience, I move career I take a pay cut. Every time I move is a pay cut. But at the end of the day, it's not the pay that is important to me. At the end of the day, it's the exposure that I get, it's the interactions that I get to make, you know. Itu bagi pada saya lebih bermakna lah. But at the end of the day, bila you bersabar, the pulangan tu akan datang lah. But it may not be immediate. The pulangan will come later. You know, just have to be patient.
Mhm. Ya, Puan ada tips tak? Macam mana nak stay positif? Macam sebab when we heard your talk, always in a positive, you give a positive vibe during your talk, during the sharing session. So do you have any tips on how to be positive at all time?
Entahlah. Memang I suppose I try to see good things I try to see the good in things. Kan?
Mhm.
Sometimes you know, people ask you if the glass is half full, do you say it's half full or it's half empty? Betul?
Betul?
Yeah, but I don't see it half full or half empty. It's a cup. It's refillable. Yeah, you just refill. So there's no such thing as half empty, half tu tak ada, tak ada, tak ada. It's refillable. Everything is doable. Kita boleh cari jalan macam mana. Sikit lebih kurang macam tu lah. Dr. Atika.
Yeah. Okay. So, Yijun, do you have any more questions to Puan?
Here's another question from who?
Oh,
Dr.
okay.
Aizati. So Dr. Aizati would like to ask Puan Sharifah, is it possible for pharmacists to join the industry later in their career life? Example, like after joining hospital, etc. Or do you think it is better for them to choose it earlier after they graduate?
Okay, thank you Dr. Aizati Atira. I rasa the specialty would be different. Sebab kalau you dah kerja in hospital, tapi tengok juga you kerja di mana in hospital. If you kerja in hospital purely clinical aspect, mungkin your exposure, you nak jump kepada industri tu mungkin agak besar lah dia punya jump not jump, the gap. The gap. But if you work in the hospital, mungkin managing the logistic side, right? Then you are more in touch with the drugs in a way. The transition into industry maybe lebih seamless, but not all aspect. Mungkin in supply chain, you can kickstart immediately in supply chain. Mungkin you can kickstart immediately in, for example, pharmacovigilance ke, you know, that kind of specialty. But tidaklah daripada hospital terus jadi formulator, saya rasa dia punya gap is too big lah. Yeah.
Okay, so I think that's all for the questions today. So, yeah, Wei Jian.
Okay, so thank you, Puan, for your time today. Perhaps maybe can you give your final words to the
Final
audience?
words. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I can think of 3 final words right now. The first one, to both Yijun and Wei Juan, you all are in the first year, so you all have 3 more years to go. Find your fun. Find your fun. But fun can be interpreted in many different ways. But find the fun that can bring you benefit. That's number 1. Number 2, when you start work, bila dah habis this, when you start work, not everything is going to come easy. I tell this to my children whenever they, my eldest is already working. Bila dia nak pergi interview kan, I tell her this. Whether you get the job or you don't get the job, you have actually gained something, which is an experience going through writing your resume, going through the interview process, tak ada pun yang you akan kata, oh I didn't get the job therefore I lose. No. Every single thing you kena berfikiran positif that life is not going to be easy, but there's always a lesson in it. And be patient. Right? Be patient. Yang ketiga, create network and maintain networks. For your information, I'm still in touch with my primary school teacher. She is now 89 years old. Sometimes I visit her and bring her out for lunch. Of course, I'm still in touch with some of my former lecturers. You know, I sangat-sangat hutang budi dengan mereka. So, create networks. Of course, again, network ni ada yang toxic, ada yang baik. So, you kena guna your judgement. Yang baik, keep a very close link. Yang jenis toxic, long leash. Tak payah nak dekat-dekat sangat, you know. And when you create networks, I like to quote this from George Bernard Shaw. And he said, if you have an apple and I have an apple and we exchange our apples, at the end of the day, we will both end up with one apple each. No difference, right? But if you have an idea, if Wei Jun have an idea, and Yi Jun have an idea, and Wei Jen have an idea, and you exchange these ideas, at the end of the day, you both end up with two different ideas. I like that quote because I think that's a very meaningful quote when you want to talk about establishing and maintaining networks and relationships.
Okay, Puan. Thank you very much for the talk and the sharing session today. So to recap some of your, I think the important points during the talk today. First, to the students and also to the lecturers or anyone who is listening to the webinar today, we need to find our passion actually. So if we find our passion and our why do we need to do, or why do we want to work in certain sectors, then it will be easier to navigate our life and our decision after that. And also from Puan's sharing, she explored many things. So means that we too have to be brave to explore many things because it will also open our minds to many possibilities, and we'll also have a different new experience, and it will help us in formulating the next decision in our life. So I think it's a very very relevant input in our life today, and also have a growth mindset, not a fixed mindset. Yeah, Puan. So if anything happen, if you go to the job interview, you get it or not get it, then you still learn something, you still gain something from the interview, right? And Puan, it's a very inspiring webinar and sharing session today. So we really appreciate your presence with us today. So thank you, Puan. And thank you everyone also for being here with us today. So we hope this session has benefited all of us and has given us the inspiration to highly consider industrial pharmacy as one of the potential career options as future pharmacists. Okay, so that would be all for today. So until our next webinar, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi and take care everyone.
Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you.
Thank
Do
you,
we have a
Puan.
photo shoot? Do we have a photo shoot?
Yes, we can have it.